So picture this. A massive data breach just hits the headlines. Millions of accounts are out there in the wild. And while most of us are scrambling to change our passwords, a very specialized team is already deep at work. They're not just cleaning up the mess, they're trying to figure out where the attackers will strike next. Today, we're going inside that breach lab. Okay, let's get into it.
And no, this isn't some scene out of a movie. This is very real. You can just feel the tension in the air. You've got security researchers, digital forensics experts, and so-called penetration testers. You know, the good guys who hack into systems to find the weak spots. All of them are huddled over screens just watching lines of code cascade by. Their mission is absolutely critical.
You know, that's really the million-dollar question in our digital world, isn't it? In those first critical hours, it is an all-out race against the clock. The goal isn't just to, stop the bleeding. It's to get inside the attacker's head, to understand their playbook before they can run the same play all over again.
Look around the room and you'll see a giant screen, a global threat map flickering with data, pinpointing the breach. The team's job is to tear into the stolen data, specifically the password hashes, to basically reverse engineer the attack. They have to figure out how the bad guys got in so they can predict their next move and get the shields up in time. And to do this, they use this incredibly powerful tool called Hashcat. Now here's the interesting part. Hashcat is a favorite tool of malicious hackers for cracking passwords. But in the right hands, in the hands of these professionals, it becomes one of the most important tools for defense. It's all about turning the attacker's own weapons against them.
Okay, before we go any further, let's quickly talk about what a hash is. The easiest way to think about it is like a unique digital fingerprint for your password. When you type your password to log in, the system creates a fingerprint of it and compares it to the one on file. It's genius, really, because it means the system never actually has to store your real password.
So Hashcat is built to crack these digital fingerprints. But for security experts, it's not about stealing passwords at all. It's about security auditing. It gives them a window right into how an attacker thinks, the kinds of tricks they'd use, and just how strong, or more often, how weak, an organization's passwords really are.
So how do they actually use it? Well, the process really boils down to three key things. First, they simulate attacks to test their own defenses. Second, after a real breach, they analyze the leaked hashes to figure out what went wrong. And third, they use it to spot dangerous patterns in how people create passwords across the whole company.
And this proactive side, the simulation part, is where it gets really fascinating. By running these mock attacks, these teams can almost see into the future. They can spot vulnerabilities, like realizing, oh wow, half the company is using password 123 or summer 2024, and then they can create stronger security policies to fix those holes before a real attacker ever finds them. But here's the thing you have to remember. A tool like Hashcat, as powerful as it is, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's just one piece of a much, much larger and more complex strategy for cyber defense. So let's zoom out for a second and see how it all fits together.
A complete defense strategy really has two halves that have to work together. On one side, you have threat intelligence. That's kind of like your forward-looking radar, always scanning the horizon for new threats, new enemy tactics. And on the other side, you have breach analytics. That's you looking in the rearview mirror, studying past attacks to learn from your mistakes. You absolutely need both.
And this really gets to the heart of the modern philosophy of cybersecurity. Being proactive means you are not just sitting around waiting to get punched. You're constantly testing your own systems, running what they call penetration tests, and actively looking for holes. You are, essentially, trying to hack yourself before someone else does.
Now, of course, when you start talking about using these kinds of offensive tools, you run right into a really critical point: ethics. There is a very, very bright line that separates the security professionals from the criminals, and it's a line you can never, ever cross.
You see, the line between the hero and the villain in this world is razor thin, and it all boils down to two simple things: permission and intent. An ethical hacker is invited in. Their job is to find the cracks in the wall so they can be patched up. A malicious actor breaks in to steal what's inside. Same exact toolkit, but two completely different universes.
So where is all this heading? Well, this cat and mouse game between attackers and defenders is always escalating, right? And the future of defense is being shaped by some truly incredible new technology. There are two technologies in particular that are leading the charge. First up is behavioral analytics. This tech actually learns your normal digital rhythm. It knows you log in from Chicago during work hours. So if a login suddenly pops up from Moscow at 3 a.m. and starts trying to download the entire customer database, well, red flags are going to go up everywhere. And then you have AI-driven threat prediction, which uses machine learning to spot patterns and actually forecast attacks before they even launch.
All of this cool tech feeds into something called an adaptive security framework, and the key word here is adaptive. This isn't a static wall you build once and then forget about. It's a living, breathing cycle. You predict threats, you work to prevent them, you have systems to detect anything that gets through, and you have a plan to respond. And then you learn from that response, and the whole cycle starts over. It just never stops.
When you boil it all down, all this technology, all this expertise, it all points to one single overarching idea. And it's an idea that stretches way beyond the walls of some high-tech breach lab. Well, because the principles that guide these experts, they're universal. This idea of proactive thinking, of continuous learning, of security awareness, that's not just for the pros. In a world where so much of our lives are digital, it's for every single one of us.
And that's really the main takeaway here. The ultimate defense isn't a single tool or some fancy piece of software. It's a culture. It's what happens when an employee spots a sketchy-looking email and reports it instead of clicking it. It's you using a password manager for your personal accounts. It's a collective mindset where everyone, from the analyst in the breach lab to you and me, understands that we all have a role to play in staying safe online.
And so I'll leave you with this question to think about. As technology evolves faster than we can even keep up with, is perfect security something we can actually achieve? Or is the real goal just to stay one step ahead in a race that has no finish line?